Hey everybody, welcome back to Champ and Sons and our Austin Adventure Park Planet Coaster series that we have going on. And in the last episode, you saw us put in the first ride there. A nice little flat ride, the Kiss, as it has so been deemed to be called. Um, and I think it looks pretty good. And so to finish off this right into this new area, I'm going to put the coaster right here. And I really wanted the coaster there because of the parking lot. I think having a coaster right there at the parking lot, that's a really weird lift hill as I see it. Um, I mean, it works, don't get me wrong, it's just kind of weird looking. But having a roller coaster right there at the parking lot, it is an exciting feature. It's something that gets people pumped up once they see it when they're in there. Once they pull up into the parking lot, that's one of the things I love about. I live in Austin, obviously, Texas, so the closest park I have is Six Flags Fiesta Texas in San Antonio. And really, one of the best parts about it is when you're in the parking lot, obviously, you can see the big loop and stuff from Superman, the Iron Rattler lift hill, but the Goliath, it's one of the inverted coasters. It's like the Batman B&M invert, pretty standard layout. But just the sound that the B&Ms make in general, the sound of it, the seeing it, the hearing the screams from the people on the ride, it really helps build that mood coming into the park. You know what I mean? And that's one of the most exciting parts about it. And it really kind of gets you amped up and going as you come into the park. And so that's why I wanted a roller coaster right there, um, to kind of help build that for the guest. You know what I mean? Even though you have the hotel people staying at the hotel, but others not staying in the hotel, just in the parking lot. And it's just an exciting feature to kind of build that anticipation of being in the park for the first time. So that's kind of what we were going with on that. You'll notice I do not use the 4 meter method. Okay, just not my style. One, it's way too tedious. I just don't have the patience for it. I mean, that's it. It's pretty plain and simple. There's nothing more difficult than that. But I do kind of like how this ride turned out. I wanted it to have a couple of the main, I guess you could say, the loop features. This is one of those. God, I mean, it's modeled after like one of the Schwarzkopf type rides, but they call this one an SLV. Um, that it's one of those in Planet Coaster. The SLV, I think they more or less half-assed named it after that dude Silverette. Really good at the game. Really well earned on that one, I'll say. But it's a looping coaster. It has a lap bar. It's not something with over-the-shoulder restraint, so I didn't want to get too crazy with it. And these have pretty simple layouts, most Schwarzkopf dudes. You don't see it. I mean, there's some that are obviously more complicated, like they used to have on an Astro World in Houston when that existed. Like the Texas Tornado is like a 4-looper. That was pretty damn complicated for that type of ride. But these, not so much. For the most part, they're fairly simple layouts, just out, back in. Nothing too crazy about it, right? And so that's the layout is relatively basic, and that's why that didn't take very long to actually do. No, I say that. I mean, it took about just over 3 minutes of what you just saw there. Although I think that took about 4 hours. Not really four. If I had to guess, closer to 2 hours, give or take, to build that one out, kind of get that layout done. So it took longer than what this video shows. I'll say that. So here we are now working on the entrance queue. We will finish up the entrance queue and the path, and you can kind of see some stuff in the background for a little bit of future area. It's actually a connecting part to this one. It's just that right now, I didn't really feel like featuring that part. I wanted this to be it. We will see the other section of this whole area, which is obviously more of a pirate theme type of area, but we will see this whole other section, or the rest of the section of it, here in the next episode is where we'll see that at. Okay, so you are going to see it. Don't think you're missing out, because you ain't. And this is what you're seeing right now, basically just working out the queue line. I had originally planned on making that queue go a lot longer. So that's kind of what I end up doing. If you know, there's some people I watch. One of the ones I would say is, what's his name, Nerd Chacho. His queue lines are freaking massive. And it makes sense in a way. It properly themed, I could see a park doing that. You know, I mean, I think anybody really could if something was proper, if they had the queue properly themed. And most people, if it was themed, would not mind that the queue would be so long. I mean, they just really wouldn't. So I think, in a sense, as long as we dress it up right, we can have a long queue line and it not really matter too much. Here, I put the exit pathway, kind of this windy one, and see this little platform area. That's going to be kind of not an exit shop. It is going to be a photo shop, not like how you see people build a custom-made one. It's just a memento shop with some tables and a little seating area, little shaded area for people to wait. You know, whenever you have loved ones or kids that go on the ride and say you didn't want to, you can just wait there, chill out, and some nice comfy chairs and all that. And that I'm not sure if we see that in this build or not. I don't remember, but it turns out pretty good. I kind of like how it works out. Here we're going on with the actual coaster station. As I've said, this is more of a pirate type area, and so yeah, we have a lot of the castle stuff, but also the pirate stuff is also a lot of wood things. You know, little wood structures, wood buildings. Some of them not the most well built ones either. You know, we'll say that. But these structures, I wanted to get them in there, and you can dress them up to give them that pirate kind of effect to it. And that's something I kind of wanted to test myself with as far as my building capability goes, is doing that with these. Now, for the stations, I prefer personally to have more open type of stations. I don't like the closed-in ones. So that is something I kind of work with here, is making sure to try to keep the station open. And I really just try to use mainly the beams and the big ass beams like you're seeing. And then also the other ones, some of the smaller ones to kind of fill in some of those blank areas, just for decoration and all that. So getting these walls built up and designed, I don't know, something about it. It looks kind of off right now, because that's really the only thing that's there. And so as we go, I think it fills it in better. But right now it does look kind of off with just this one side. So, and I use those smaller, like one little 1 meter beams to cover up the little, I don't know what you would call those technically, but we do use them to cover them up. So it doesn't look just as, you know, Planet Coaster-y, I guess you could say. Now we turn that one wall into basically what would amount to the frame for this station. And I think we're going to kind of stick with the same frame style that we had for the curse down there, because I think it works out really well. I like it. Everything's shaded, covered. It works really well with itself, and has a good feel to it, you know. And this really helps out this ride, I think, as a whole, actually. And you'll kind of see that as we go through working on the design of it, some of the other stuff that goes on around the tracks, and the remainder of the entrance queue. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to leave y'all here to kind of watch the rest, to go over some of those queue building. I'm going to leave y'all here while that happens, and I'll catch up with y'all here in a little bit. And so, yeah, I guess I'll see y'all then at that point. Other than that, check with y'all here in a wee bit. Hey, and I am back, everybody, and you are seeing how this whole thing is really starting to come together, right? It's not like a um, Disney Pirates of the Caribbean type of setup, but it's pretty piratey, I think. I think it looks good. I like how the ivy works out on the top of these things to provide some of that shading. And like I said, let's face it, if it was in, I would assume, the pirate time type of setup, you probably wouldn't have, you'd have a lot of ivy and shit around. I don't think you're going to have a whole bunch of gardeners there taking care of everything for you. You know what I mean? Um, so that's that's kind of where we are at on that. Why we kind of put all that ivy up on there, shading, and it looks good. I like how this thing turns out. Going through here, we are putting the railings on this walkway, and that was pretty tedious work. Normally, I haven't done that too much the times I've played Planet Coaster, but I really wanted to make sure to kind of attempt to do that this go around with it to try to properly, get this park built up and these rides and stations and all that. So that's what we were doing here as far as getting these railings up for the walkways. Now, as I see this, it dawns on me I need to do that for the little turnaround section. But at this stage, I'll worry about that here in a little bit. I'm not going to stress about it right now. We'll just say that much. We do still have some other things to go over with it, especially as far as the queue line goes and blocking the track off from the queue line. And that's a pretty big deal. Keeping, especially this part clear, that would be a major focal point for the park. This right here, more than anything, is a moment in time where if someone really wanted to, man, they could legit mess up some rides. Now you see me put this corner in that's kind of opened and the track's right there. I would say if you look, they kind of go through it, right? But in a way, it feels like not really. I think I know I've looked at it from the peak view on the ride, and I mean, yeah, sure, okay, maybe it takes off the very top of your head, but you can still enjoy the ride, right? Um, I do keep that corner in there. I probably should go back at some point and kind of change the way that thing is done, but oh well. Here we're putting in the cage right around. It's not really a cage; it's the chain link fence. But we put that around there to separate everything out, kind of keep it all blocked off from the people. And like I say, there's still some parts I know I need to go back over and redo. So here's going to be an extension of the queue that we're trying to build up, right? So we've gone through and got one part more of the wood theme. This is more of the, I guess you could say, British castle kind of themed, pirate enemy kind of theme, kind of thing, as far as like just the castle type setup. That's what we go with, and I didn't want this thing to be too big. There's a problem with 4 meters, about as high as you want to go with something before it becomes too much of a feature, and you don't want just the building of your queue to be something everybody goes to look at. So I do keep this one at about 3 meters. It is a little tight on the inside. It turns out pretty well, though, with the feel that it gives you as you're going in there. It's kind of interesting. I like how it turns out. So here we are putting up just some basic decorations. One thing I realized, even with this whole piratey stuff, I haven't really put in a whole bunch of how would you say, I guess, cannons. I haven't put in a whole bunch of that type of stuff. So, just looking to put some decorations around and build some depth. That's kind of one thing I want to do. And having those cannons up there just looks like this would be an appropriate place to have I guess you could say one of those little lift things like that. And some scaffolding to get up. They're going to have to work on some of the lighting, obviously, and some borders. I thought about that British flag, just could not pull the trigger. Really didn't want it up there. It doesn't look right if we did have it up. So we do still have to finish some decorating on that building and finish out the queue line. But that's pretty much going to be about it for this ride. So here in, if I had to say, just about 2 minutes, or close to it, we're going to have the POV of the completed ride with all the stuff that's out there going through. We should have a day and nighttime view, and then also have some other cinematic shots for you as well. So definitely stay tuned for those. With that, I will see y'all in the next episode. We will do a full area walkthrough, so you can kind of see how this whole, I guess you could say, pirated section turned out. So yeah, we will have that for you, and that'll be here in just a bit. So here's what the ride looks like. You know, I used the video screen and just made what I would use for like a thumbnail. Basically, just made that for it. And I like how it turned out. It turned out pretty well. I didn't have a whole lot of space, so I think it works with what we needed it to. And what you're getting to look at right now is the queue line going through it, so you can kind of see all the decorations that we put in. Um, and all that going up to the ride. But you will have a POV of the ride along with some cinematic shots here in just a little bit. So definitely stay tuned for that. And that reminds me right there to let you know to hit the subscribe button if you have not subscribed already. And if you did like today's video, or you like roller coasters and theme parks in general, why don't you just go ahead and give us a thumbs up, because we love them too. And a thumbs up really does help out the channel, and we definitely appreciate everything that y'all do for us here at Champ & Sons. So, thank y'all for joining us. I will see y'all in the next episode for the full area walkthrough. Until then, everybody, y'all know how it goes by now, right? Stay safe, and well, later, y'all.